It's that time of year for sharing a heart with someone special, especially if it's been torn out of another person's chest. A masked madman is on the loose in a small town, and he's going to pick away at the townsfolk and choose his victims by plot convenience. Blood is red, balls are blue, and Harry Warden's going to kill you. My bloody Valentine.
Hello there, you loose units, and welcome back to another episode of Spicy Boy Rewind Reviews, where we go back and look at a cult classic through fresh eyes. And of course, it's that time of year in February where blood is in the air, so why not tackle a Valentine's Day slasher classic? And of course, we're going to look at My Bloody Valentine, released in 1981, directed by George Mihalka, who's done a shit ton of TV and film. We open the film on two naughty coal miners who are down the coal mines and about to get it on. In true 80s slasher fashion, it's about the 2-minute mark before we see some fleshy bra and panties. I guess coal as an energy source back in the 80s was so big that it gave everyone a boner. Shortly after this young woman exposes herself, our masked miner impales her on something other than his mining shaft. Then we're introduced to the 40-year-old looking 20-somethings of the town of Valentine Bluffs. They all work down the coal mine and after clocking off after a shift, decide to go to the local pub with their girlfriends and get shit-faced. One particular young miner by the name of TJ, he's the mayor's son and he's back in town after disappearing for quite a while. It turns out he left this small town behind to go and make it in the big city. But he's back in Valentine Bluffs with his tail between his legs. And what did he go run away to do in the big city, you ask? Forget about that question. Here, have a love triangle. That's right, TJ's girlfriend Sarah left him after he split town. And is now dating Johnny Lawrence. I mean, Axel. And can you guess what horror movie archetype Axel is? If you said leader of the pack blonde douchebag bully type, you'd be right. So there's tension in the air because TJ's back in town, he wants Sarah back, but Axel's having none of it! You get the expected tussles and some stern words thrown about, some awkward banter between the three, yada yada yada, let's get on with the kills. We find out from an old kook at a bar that there is in fact a town curse. No, not from that one! Turns out Valentine's Day back in 1960, two arsehole supervisors seem to go to Splitsville, leave work early to go to the town's Valentine's Day dance. And they left a pack of miners down the shaft. But turns out there was a gas leak. An explosion happened, sealing the miners down below. They send a rescue team down the mine to rescue the trapped miners, but it seems they're a bit too late. One of the trapped miners by the name of Harry Warden went mad, took a leaf out of Uruguayan Flight 571's book, and started eating the other miners. But then Harry Warden vanishes into the night, swearing revenge on the town, and that if they ever have the Valentine's Day dance again, he's going to come back and kill some people. And wouldn't you know it, Harry's back in town and the bodies begin to pile up. He starts posting the heart ripped out of the chest of his victims in little chocolate boxes, along with a cheeky little poem here to the local sheriff. But the local sheriff's having none of it! He decides to cancel the Valentine's Day dance to stop the murders. But of course our horny 20-somethings are having none of it! They decide to throw a secret party, go down the mines to get drunk and have a root, which of course can only go well. As expected, the killing continues, the bodies pile up, in very creative, gory ways I might add. And there's a final face-off down the mine. Of course, we get a twisty twist of who the killer is. But it was incredibly convoluted, came out of nowhere, there was no foreshadowing or setup for it, it just seemed like a little twist they wanted to tack on to the end of the film for a little reveal. I won't spoil what the motive is or the backstory for the killer, but I will say that it's exactly the same as the killer out of Silent Night, Deadly Night. This film is obviously a repercussion from the success of Halloween in 1978. As I've mentioned in previous reviews, because of that movie and its success, there was a flood of holiday-themed slasher movies in the 80s. And I will say that this film is kind of the B-grade version of that. Halloween and Friday the 13th obviously being A-list top tier. The film Terror Train, which is a New Year's Eve slasher, being B-grade. And April Fool's Day being C-list, in my opinion. This film is somewhat entertaining. It's a bit boring at times, I will be honest, but it's got a great theme to work with, some really cheesy punny material, and an okay recognisable slasher villain. It has a small-town urban legend, horny 20-somethings, and some great gory kills that would even give Friday the 13th a run for its money. The acting is terrible, the script is cheesy as fuck, but I wouldn't have it any other way. There was, of course, a remake in 2009 starring Jensen Ackles, and it is the most 2000s of horrors, if you know what I mean. The horror movies all around this time in the 2000s all kind of look the same, and all starring rising TV stars. The best one of this era, though, has to go to 2003's Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake starring Jessica Biel. However, My Bloody Valentine 2003 did have that whole 3D marketing tacked onto it, which was the rave at the time. And yes, of course, there was a twisty twist at the end of that film too, but it was just as convoluted and batshit silly as this film. But yeah, this movie's not too bad. It's great to insert it into a holiday-themed slasher marathon. Anyway, guys, that's my cheeky little review of My Bloody Valentine 1981. Write down below if you've seen it, if you're a fan of it, but more importantly, what is your favourite holiday-themed slasher? And of course, if you made it this far into the episode, please give me a thumbs up because your love and support keeps me going, because I just love movies and I assume you do as well. And of course, don't forget to hit that subscribe icon because I give it an episode weekly, and I'll see you back here next week for the next review, and until then, stay spooky, kids.